over this piece for now.
If it wasn't for you and your goat videos, we wouldn't have to do these.
I know.
That's not it.
No.
You ready? Good. All right, guys. Today, this next session is the team site deep dive session. So what we're going to do today is actually look at the team site, work with the team site, and get to learn more about what a team site and all the functionality that's part of a team site. So when we look at our agenda for today, we're going to do some introductions so I can know what areas that you come from and what sites you currently have access to. And then we're going to talk about some team site basics, which is kind of an overview of this morning's session, getting to know following sites, that kind of thing. We'll talk mostly about document libraries today. So a big portion of today's session is focused on document libraries. From that discussion, everything that you can do in a document library applies to everything across your team site. So we'll focus a lot on document libraries, but you'll be able to see how those same items are applied to other things as well. We'll talk briefly about custom lists and calendars within your team site. And then for all site owners, you should know how to manage permissions on your site. So we're going to talk about managing permissions, and then the thing that everyone likes to know about is how to change your team site's look and feel. So we'll talk about themes, how to apply a logo to your team site, and then also how to manage and customize that main page of your team site. So as a site owner, you can do that. All right? So it's a lot of information. If at any point you feel overwhelmed, you have a question, feel free, let me know, and we'll talk through those things. First, let's start out talking about who we are, what we do. And so I'll start out. I don't know I introduced myself this morning in this morning's session, but I am Amy Coleman. I work at the system office on the Intranet team, which is part of Technology Solutions Group at the system office. So my title is Intranet Developer. And I'm a site administrator, so that means I have access to multiple sites across the system. If you don't care, we'll start out right here.
I'm Patty Beebe, and I am supposedly the college technical trainer.
Okay.
I've been here, this is my 31st year.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
And, this is overwhelming to me already, so I'm excited to see what's going to go.
Do you know if you're part of any teams currently?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. That works. Tammy, you want to go next?
No. I'm the IT and Web Services Manager, and I've been here too long, 25 years.
Longer than that. Because I've been here about 25 years, people aren't here longer than that.
Okay.
Longer than 20. Perfect. And Tammy has access to multiple teams, so Thomas?
And most people for better or worse know who I am. I'm Thomas Rogers, the Chief Information Technology Officer, or the person that people throw things at. That's why I'm keeping like Tammy between him.
I see, yeah.
And yes, I'm on the multiple teams.
Okay.
Waiting for the internet to come back up. We're telling CTCS.
Okay.
I'm Andy Anderson, Carrollton IT Project Manager. I'm on multiple teams.
Okay. What do you hope to learn from today's session? That's one of the other things.
The look and feel portion is interesting, and I guess just some of the flexibility, more about some of the apps that are there.
Okay.
I started working with this when we first migrated things over to phone calendars.
Okay.
So I played around with a lot of the back end things, information management, and learned some valuable lessons like to remove yourself.
And
Right.
I handed off the internet
From the
stuff
owners
to him.
Okay.
So, and yeah, eventually, that's what we want to do. Right?
Okay.
Is the internet portion.
Right. Okay. Good deal.
Steven Smith, Workers Campus Safety, been here about 10 years, a little over. owner of two sites, members of the default,
Right.
members of other sites. Really, the look and the feel, and get a better understanding of where SharePoint's on. About 5 years ago, I managed a SharePoint site for a unit at Fort Knox, but it is vastly different now
Right.
than it was then. So,
Right, okay.
Shanae Emerson, Institutional Research, and I know I'm on the ORPA team.
Peer team.
And a couple of others, it's only going to need a few other things pop up.
Okay.
So we'll see what else is in there. I don't even know what other team member of.
Okay. What do you hope to learn from today's session?
I was the manager of the old SharePoint site.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to do something similar and post a number of documents out there that anyone can see at any time.
Okay.
They do not like Blackboard e-community,
Okay.
which is unfortunate because I find it very helpful.
Okay.
But if someone needs to see some specific trend data, it's out there.
Okay. All right.
I'm Emily Bellwood. I'm in marketing, and I'm on the system marketing site. And
Okay.
that's where we do our media tracking and stuff. And that's really all I use it for. And what do I hope to learn? I did everything.
Anything and
I'm in
everything.
developmental.
Okay.
I'm in Internet 30 right now.
Okay. All right.
Hope to get tested to 101.
Well, today's session I think will cover a lot of topics that each one of you will be able to take away, and it'll be good. So we'll just start out at the very beginning, kind of overview, what is SharePoint Online. And we talked about this a little bit this morning about it being our team collaboration area. So that means that you can have a space in SharePoint Online that is secure to just your team members. It is in Office 365 Cloud, so that means it's available anytime, anywhere. So you can get to your work-related documents from home, when you're traveling across the state, if you travel to other colleges, for instance. You can have a project site, or you can have a team site for functional and cross-functional teams. So a lot of you mentioned peer teams, we have those across the system, or you could have your local teams as well. So it is secure to your team members, so it can be 2 individuals, it could be 20 individuals, whatever that team size is, your team site can accommodate that. So getting to SharePoint Online. From the main KCTCS intranet, you're going to go to that gray bar at the top, which is called the Suite bar, and there's a link there that says SharePoint Online. That's going to take you to that main landing area where you're going to see all the team sites that you have access to. But you're also going to see a link in that gray bar for sites, and that's going to take you to the sites you're following. All right? So that's going to be, if you go to SharePoint Online, you're going to see a page that looks like this, has all the sites you have access to. Or if you go to the sites you're following page, you're going to see the listing of the sites you've actively followed. To follow a site, you can go to your team site and you can select the follow link, and then that's going to put it on your site landing page. What we're going to do here in just a few moments is follow the team site deep dive site. That way it'll be on your site landing page. So you'll see it right under the sites I'm following. The ribbon interface. So we have this ribbon now that we're going to be interacting throughout the session with. When you are working within your team site, when you're working within document libraries or lists, you're going to see the ribbon at the top of the page. The ribbon is contextual, so it's based on permissions that you have for your team. So if I'm a team member, I may not see every icon light up when I'm inside of my document library. As a site owner, you have full control of the site, so you'll see many more icon and functionality be available because you have that full control. And we'll work a lot with the ribbon in today's session. That way you can feel comfortable working within that type of interface. Before we can really dive into working within our team site, we really need to understand the types of navigation. So we talked about this morning how you can navigate from the publishing layer into Office 365. But once you get into Office 365, especially within SharePoint Online, there's multiple ways to navigate within your team site. So let's start out with the first item on this list, which is the suite bar. We're keeping the suite bar intact even though Microsoft has changed the layout of that area at the top. So about 4 or 5 weeks ago, this area right to the left of where that gear icon is had links to Outlook, to OneDrive. Now that isn't available, but inside this suite bar area, because Office 365 contains email, contains our calendar, when you get an email notification or an event reminder, it's going to pop up a little icon in this area letting you know how many reminders you have, how many new emails you have. So that is what we are calling the suite bar now, that Office 365 has collapsed that menu. So that's still a very present thing in Office 365. The second item on this list is the settings menu. Now, as a site owner, a team site member, this settings menu is very important. We're going to work with this menu all day today. Basically, you get to the settings menu from the gear icon inside your team site. When you select that gear icon in the far right corner, it's going to pop down a menu, and one of the options on that menu is Site Contents. Site Contents is where everything within your site lives. So if you've added a document library, if you've added a list, if you've added a calendar, you can come to Site Contents and see everything that's on your site. One thing to note there, that is secured to you. So if you're a team site member and you don't have access to a document library on this site, you're not going to see it on Site Contents. So it is everything that you personally have access to on that site.
But it's not accessible from Outlook 365, right?
This navigation, right? This is this particular navigation set is only within your team site.
Within Teams.
Yep. Another option on this same settings menu listing is called Site Settings. And we're going to talk a lot about that today as well. Site Settings is a place that, as a site owner, you can go to manage site-related activities. So, for instance, I'm a site owner and I need to change the look and feel. I can go to Site Settings. There's a link that says Change Look and Feel. You can walk through that process. If you need to manage permissions, you'll do that through Site Settings. If you need to change the title or change the logo of your site, all those types of site level activities are in the Site Settings area. Okay. The third item on this list is the ribbon. So when you come to your team site, it's going to default to the Browse tab. The Browse tab basically shows your team logo and the title of whatever you're within. So if you're within a document library, it's going to have your document library name, your team name, but next to the Browse tab is additional menus. So, and it's contextual. So if you're in a list, the tabs are going to be items and list. Within a document library, the tabs are going to be files and library. If inside of a calendar, that's going to be a calendar tab versus a library. So it's very specific to the app you're working within. The top navigation, which is number 4, and the quick launch, or the left nav as I'll call it, is number 5, and those are the 2 navigation areas that you as a site owner get to maintain. So this is customized per site. You get to decide what's in that left navigation, you get to decide what's in that top navigation. These are the 2 items that are going to be different from team site to team site. Everything else on this navigation set, once you're within SharePoint Online, is going to be consistent from team site to team site. So if I go from my web peer team to the marketing peer team, for instance, it's going to have the sweet bar, it's going to have the settings menu. All those things are going to stay consistent. The only thing that'll be different is the top nav and this left navigation. Number 6 on this list is the ellipses, and so that's the 3 dots. You're going to see this throughout your entire team site, next to documents, next to list items. This is a navigation so that you can go in and find out more about that particular item or perform a function on that particular item. And then last but not least is the new app launcher that has been probably in Office 365 for about 4 weeks now. And it is this little grid icon in the far left corner of Office 365. And when you select that, it's going to pop out all the apps that make up Office 365. So Outlook, OneDrive, you can navigate to it. All right. Well, the first thing that we're going to do as a group is actually manage the navigation of our team site. You all should have received an email from me. I think it was yesterday that I sent that has a link to the team site. So that's the site that we're going to be working in throughout today's session. And this site is also going to be available for about 3 months after today's session. So if you need to go and have a place to try out new things and not have to worry about messing up your own team site, or you feel a little bit uncomfortable doing it within your own team site, feel free to use this as kind of a sandbox area for the next few months.
Amy, I don't see.
You do not? I want to say I sent it yesterday morning.
It's on the list. I just did the search to deep dive and then I came in.
Okay, all right.
I think I'm on the right.
I'm forwarding it to you, Patty.
Okay.
In your inbox. Or if we're going,
Let's see, Richard, let's see if you have it.
But you are, Andy, just get it unlocked.
You're into. You should have it. Did you find it?
I'm on.
You're on the list.
Okay,
I double checked.
perfect.
Yeah, I got it.
Patty wasn't on the list originally.
Okay, all right. Well, if you don't have permission for some reason, let me know, and then I'll add you before we actually jump in there.
Yeah, I'm not on the list.
Today's session, also I forgot to mention this, what we'll do is we'll talk about certain things, and then as a group we'll work through those particular tasks. That way you can focus on kind of what I'm talking about without having to worry about doing it at the same time, and then we'll as a group actually go through and do the things that we're talking about. So
you want us to go ahead and click into that?
you can navigate in there. Do you have access to the site?
She does.
Okay. So we're going to talk about managing the navigation. So as a site owner, you get those 2 navigation sets. You can manage that navigation. There's 2 ways to do that. There's a simple, just edit links menu.
You're in here. Like I'm looking where it says who's in the Jefferson deep dive. It's showing.
Permission for the document library. She is a member of the Team Deep Dive owners. It's full control.
I'll take a look at the permission just 1 second.
It's showing them in.
You can manage this navigation 2 ways. You can use the simple edit links option, which when you go into the team site, there's going to be a link right below the navigation. And because you can manage that navigation, you're going to see the edit links little detail there. You select that and you'll be able to manage the links in that left nav or this top nav. You also have an option to do a more advanced management of those links, and that's through that site settings menu. And so if you go to the gear and go down to site settings, that's going to take you to the site settings area where you can select navigation. By selecting the navigation, you'll be able to go into a more advanced mode where you can manage the navigation itself, but also do additional things like audience targeting of your navigation, etc. So we're going to take a look at the navigation. Oh, yeah, I wanted to check. Do you have access now?
Yeah, my back button's not working.
Okay.
Close that and just click on it. Yeah, I've noticed this too, because I've dealt with this for a while. Sometimes when you search for people in the permissions area, they're adding someone in, you get multiple entries for people. And so there was one for Patty that didn't have faculty.
Okay.
The one that got added, one that had faculty is the correct one.
I see.
I don't know why there are duplicates showing up.
That is usually if someone has like a service account tied to their
Do you have
name.
multiple accounts, Patty? Do you have a?
That's possible.
Do you have an account?
What I've been doing is see this training document.
There is another Patricia Beebe though, who used to be a student at E-Town. But maybe.
No, Patty has an account that needs to be deleted. She has an old password resetting. She has an unknown account.
It has your picture next to your name on it.
Andy just recently,
Yeah,
He just
I
put me in.
just moved it. Remove the old one.
the other one didn't have anything on it.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever you said.
What it does is it's looking at the accounts and setting out an Active Directory. And you happen to have, if you remember eons ago, you actually did password resets.
Yeah, I did,
too.
right.
And that account it's not able to do anything, but it's still sitting there. And that would give you a second.
So it's easy to it's easy to select that one. So that's the situation. People have multiple accounts. So we should just have to.
Something that would be.
Yeah, that's one thing to note when you're looking at that.
Well, that too.
Can that be removed?
Which hat am I wearing today?
Was everybody able to get to the site and had permissions to the site? All right, cool. Well, the first thing that I wanted you all to do is actually follow the site. So if you go to that top page, right corner, there's a link that says follow. If you select that link, you should see something that says you are now following, or if you had already followed, it'll say you have already followed the site. Basically what this is going to do now is if you need to navigate into Outlook or you need to navigate into your calendar, you can always get back to this by going to your site's landing area. So if I go to the app launcher and go to sites,
Live demonstrations are wonderful.
Feels so important.
Yeah, look at that.
there it goes. You should now see your deep dive team site in that listing. So that's kind of where you can navigate to get back there.
So we'll always have to be invited by somebody to be into a team?
Typically, yes. Typically, yes. You may have access by default if you're part of a bigger group. So like, for instance, all of us are within the KCTCS employee group, security group. So if somebody gives access to that particular group, then you will see it because you're part of that particular group. Yep. But this is an out-of-the-box team site.
And then if you want to start one, you email the help desk.
Yes,
Everything gives permission in KCTCS.
that's right.
Okay.
So this is an out-of-the-box team site. Obviously,
What do you mean by out of the box?
that means there is no customizations done to this team site. This is basically just a created, brand new, from scratch team site. And with that, you get certain pieces. So part of an out-of-the-box team site or a non-customized team site, is a document library. You'll notice it here on this front page, an area called Documents. That is a library that's given to every team by default is a document library.
Okay, I don't have that. Mine says complete your profile and follow people and content to get suggestions here.
Mine was you put it on the site. Did you open the site up?
I did click on the site.
list.
Oh, here, this site?
Yeah.
Okay,
Now you're in
gotcha.
the fresh.
So is this, if I was to start one, is this where everyone usually starts?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of start from the very scratch. Yep. So, yeah, so somebody's already altering the left nav there. So basically, from scratch, it's going to have a home link. You're going to have a documents link. You're going to have a this documents library. This front page is customizable though. So, and that's going to be a thing that we talk about at the end of the session is how do you make this front page, you know, be something that your team's going to utilize. You know, how do you pull pieces and parts to this page for them to use? This left navigation is the area that I was talking about that you as a site owner have control to maintain and change. So you can add links into this left navigation. You can add links into that top navigation. Essentially, this site is a full-fledged container that you can build pages within. So you could build additional web pages with content. You can utilize components that you add to the site in different ways, building dashboards and building things of that nature. All of that will make more sense as we work through it. It's because there's a lot of pieces and parts to it. So what we're going to do first is actually maintain this left navigation. When you come into your team site, you'll see that Edit Links option. If you select Edit Links, it's going to take you into Edit Mode. Edit Mode is, you could tell you're in Edit Mode because, for one, you have the little X's next to your links. You also, when you hover over them, you kind of get a fine outline around each of the items. So if you needed to delete an item, you can just select the X, delete that item. If you needed to add a new item, you basically just hit the little link icon, and that's going to allow you to enter text for the link, but also an address for the link. So I'm going to just type in a link with my name attached to it so we can see each other. So if you want to add your own link, just put your name at the front. So I'm going to put Amy's link, and then I'm going to just put this to the KCTCS.edu website. So just type in the text, type in the URL. If you have a site where you copy the URL and want to paste it into this field, you can do that as well. If you select OK, it'll add that link for you into the left nav. As long as you stay in edit mode, you can continue to add additional links. You can also, according to what browser you're using, if you're using IE8, which I think is what you all mentioned these machines had, you may not get this functionality, but you should be able to drag and drop items up and down in the navigation as well. So I know IE10 and above, you are able to do that. Firefox, which is what I'm using currently, you're able to do that. So if you just take the link and drag it up within the navigation, you can sort your navigation in that fashion. If you need to edit a link, you should be able to just select the item. When you select the item, it's going to have a little edit link icon, and that'll allow you to maintain and change the link itself. So you as an individual can maintain these links.
Now the link, just
No, you have a question? Okay.
These are I do. Over here are just links.
Yes.
They're not, and on the other side is documents. Got it.
So one of the things as a site owner that you may want to do is, as you build out your site, you may build additional document libraries, different lists. You may want to add links to those things in that left navigation. So you might add a document library and want to have a link to the new library in that left navigation. So you kind of customize that and build that out to whatever your team is going to need in order to effectively get to the items within your team site.
So, if you don't need to direct them to a website, then you just leave that bottom part blank?
That link area is always going to contain where you want them to go. Yes.
Okay.
So if you want them to go to a document library, you could grab the URL for that library and put it into that linked area.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There's also another way that you can link to your libraries and things. I want to show you that next. So if you go ahead and save your link and hit the save button, you should see your link in that left navigation. So as we saved it updated, we now see everyone's link in that left nav.
So determines the order of them.
How they were sorted, so you could drag them up and down in the mix. Because we were all editing, where you may have dropped yours, maybe didn't take precedent after the last person saved, it got put in an order. But you can maintain that by going into edit and dragging it up and down. Or in the advanced options, you can move things up and down. And I'm going to show you that here in just 1 second.
But if you don't move them up and down, is the one created last on top, or what determines that order?
I want to say it is each link item is given an ID number, and so then it puts it in that particular ID number. You can choose to have it sort automatically, where I think it does alpha order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this top navigation is maintained in that same fashion, so you can go up to edit links and maintain that top navigation as well. The next thing I want us to do is all to go to the site contents area. So if you go to the gear icon in that upper right corner, about halfway down that menu is a link that says site contents. Go ahead and select that. This is the area that I mentioned earlier that is everything that is part of this team site that you have access to. Because you're a site owner, you have full control of this site. So you're going to see everything that's part of this site. So for instance, this is another out of the box, so no customization. By default, you're going to get a document library named Documents. You're going to see two additional areas. One is called Site Assets. That area is intended for more multimedia type items. So if you have images or video, any of that type of documentation or assets, you can put it in that Site Assets folder, and that could be storage for those types of things. Site pages, you know, earlier I mentioned this is a full-fledged site. So you can build additional pages on your site and create links to those in that left navigation if you needed to as a team owner. So the Site Pages library is where you can build out additional pages that live within your team site.
And why would you want to do that?
If you want to build, for instance, different views of your documents and have a page that contains maybe a specialized view for individuals to see documents. You can also create dashboards, so maybe You have a calendar and you have documents that are associated with different events that are going to happen. So you could have it tied together so that they pull back. There's a lot of different things like that, but that would be the main reason why you would probably build additional pages. So this is the site contents area. If you go into edit mode in that left nav while you're in site contents, you should be able to drag and drop an item into that left navigation. So I took one of the components and I'm going to drag it into this left nav, and that's creating that link for me. So instead of me having to grab the URL, I could just automatically link to my site assets folder, for instance. So that's another one of those items that if you're in IE8, it may not be working for you because that drag and drop function isn't there. But in other browsers, you should see it working. So if I save this, now we're going to see the finalized left navigation with the new link. I select my site assets, and now it's went into my site assets folder.
Now, when you did that, it should have done that to mine, correct?
Yes, but you won't see it take effect until you've actually refreshed the page.
Well, I hit F5. and
Okay.
It's telling me, do you want to leave this page?
Okay, hit OK and see what it does. Yep. Okay. Yeah.
I hope I'm not getting too far ahead, but if you do create separate pages, the links that you create on the left-hand side, can they be customized just for that specific page, or is it for all pages?
It's for all pages within your site. So one thing that you can do is that left navigation can have targeted pages. So what that means is you could target a navigation set for a particular group within your own team, so they could see additional links or not see additional links based on the permission they have to the site. The way you do that is within the more advanced options under site settings. So if you went to the gear icon and then went down to site settings, that's going to take you to this page. This is the page where, as a site owner, you manage all those site level tasks. So your permissions to your site, the look and feel of your site, you have your navigation in this area as well. Navigation is the last link under the look and feel section. Go ahead and select that, and that will take you to the navigation settings. You'll notice that when we come into this navigation settings area, you're going to have your first top area. It says global navigation, and there's radio boxes here to the right. It defaults to an item called structural navigation. Basically what that means is you are customizing that navigation. That navigation is set just for this site and this site alone. So you're maintaining that locally. There is an option, however, in that grouping that says display the same navigation as my parent. I always like to let individuals know about this option in case you have a team with sub-sites under it. What you can do is maintain a navigation on one site and get that navigation pushed out to all sites that live within it. So if you had one big site with little smaller groups or sites under it, you can maintain that navigation in that one location. So I like to let you all know that that is available. For the most part, most of our team sites are standalone. They don't have a lot of children sites under them, so they'll have the structural navigation selected. If you scroll down a little bit further on this page, you're going to see that it is set to manage the navigation by manual sorting. You can set that to automatic sort, and that's when it's going to do that alpha order if you needed it to do that. This other area directly below the sorting option is where you're going to maintain that more advanced option. So we'll see all of our navigation here that we had already changed by going through that Edit Links menu. You can do the exact same things from this area, but it's going to give you a couple additional options, such as managing the audience. So if I went into my link, Amy's link, I could edit it. I select the link and say edit. One of the options here is an audience. What that's going to allow me to do is I could look at a particular SharePoint group that I had created. So this one, for instance, is Jefferson. I could target a link to just a particular group of individuals. So if I chose the Deep Dive Visitors group, for instance, just this small subset of my team would actually see this link. So anybody that lived within that group. So that could be something that that you could utilize if you're creating specialized views and things for a subset of team members. You can also sort. So if I wanted to move the link up and down, I could do that within this area. I could also add additional links if I needed to by using the add link function. Once you've made your changes, you just hit OK, and that's going to save those changes for your navigation. So I see somebody's already added a logo. Who did that?
I was looking at Tammy.
I was just going to say, it wasn't me. Of course, I was
It's not
definitely
showing
seeing
up online. I was wondering if that was.
So can you just quickly review how you got to all that?
Sure. Yep. So the edit links was initially just through this edit link icon at the bottom.
Got that. I'm talking about,
The site settings is the gear,
okay,
site settings, and then navigation.
navigation, okay, got it.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Any other questions about managing that navigation? All right. The next thing that we want to do is actually add a document library. And in this case, that is what they call an app in SharePoint Online. So there is several out-of-the-box apps, which means those are just apps that are always available with a basic team site, so a site that's not been customized yet. So some of the apps that you can utilize are document libraries, a custom list. So a custom list may be if you want to keep track of more tabular type of data, something maybe like an Excel spreadsheet that you would commonly use. You could use a SharePoint list to track that information. There's a calendar app, announcements, discussion boards, task lists. All of those apps are something that you can get with just a basic team site. We can customize apps as well. So if there's a specific business need, we can create an app that is meant for just your team. And that also allows us to reuse it. So for example, if there was a particular need that, for instance, professional development needed, and that could be shared from college to college, we could build an app, and each team, a local team, could have that particular app. So there is, yes?
This isn't like an app. Describe what an app is versus like the team site, I guess.
The app is an actual component that lives within the team site.
Lives
Yes.
within the team site.
Yeah, so it actually performs a certain function, such as a document library. You could store your documents within it. A calendar, obviously, events and things of that nature. So it's an actual component that lives within the overall team site. An example of a customized app, just so you kind of understand that a little bit more, is one thing that we have heard is that professional development needs a way to track training options and be able to track that against employee information and you know, that kind of thing. So we could build an app that did that sort of function, and then that could be deployed across multiple team sites. So if Owensboro needed to do it and then Jefferson needed to do it, you could have your own team
Take
site.
Owensboro's modified.
Right,
and put it
right.
in a team site.
Right. So,
That's sort of what Rhonda's working on, isn't it? With
Oh,
some of that employee training.
okay.
I think.
Yep.
She needs to track, Stanville clicked on it.
Right.
Okay. Yep. So that's just an example of a customized app that you could reuse across all the sites. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a document library app. It's easy. It's no big deal at all.
I haven't seen the pie part yet.
Pass around the bedroom.
So,
Meat and potatoes.
so anywhere within your team site, you're always going to have access to this gear icon. So wherever you're at within the team site, if you select the gear icon and go down to site contents,
Oh my God, I love these apps.
there's going to be a link there that says add an app. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go to the add an app page. You're going to notice certain apps here at the top. Those are ones that are used most frequently throughout Office 365. So document library, task list, those are ones that they're kind of featuring. If we scroll down a little bit, you'll notice that there's a lot of apps you can use. Some of them have just a basic generic blue icon. If you see one that looks very similar to these, those are apps that are built within the team site by Microsoft. So those come with every team site. A form library, a links list, a document library, that kind of thing. Items that have more customized looks, such as the Facebook wall. You have this ramp video management. Those are apps that's been loaded from the App Store. And there is a SharePoint App Store that you have access to. You can go through there, and there is some free apps, and then there's some apps that cost money. If there is an app that costs money, we can purchase an app at a system level, and that can be utilized by everybody within our Office 365 area. There may be times where if we can have to find a budget for that to go against, but do know if there is a specific business need that an app may be able to help with, we should go through that process from the system office.
So that one down there called Lightning Conductor.
Yes.
Probably one that was gotten from the App Store.
Yes, that one was purchased from the App Store.
So you can add the free stuff, right?
The free stuff, we actually prefer that also goes from the system as well. But from what I understand, you can go ahead and create it with your own account. At that point, when you create one, it is available to every team at that point. So it isn't localized just to an app that you're adding to your team. It's an app that everybody across the entire system can add. So do note that in the SharePoint store, there are some apps that will charge you per user. per use. So if you run across one like that, just be aware. So
what is different, because my eyes aren't picking up on it, that tells you that that Facebook wall was not one of the apps that came in the box?
You don't really see it very well on the projection, but this blue background is a little bit darker than what these others are.
Okay.
Well, and do you mean like if she clicked on the app details, she could see more if it was free or whatever?
Let's see what app details does as well. It's going to take you into the additional details about that app, and so you know that it's from the store itself. But the icon, a lot of these icons are very, graphical, very based upon some of these that are out of the box or just more of an icon on top of those blocks. Those backgrounds will also change based on whatever theme you have applied to your team site. So if your team site has an orange theme, these icons, for instance, would have an orange background versus a blue background. So
For everybody again?
no, just for your team.
Just for
Yeah,
your team.
yeah.
So I would have thought that OneNote class notebook was part of the out-of-the-box stuff, but it's a different background.
That is a new one that Microsoft just deployed within the past couple of months. So it actually is one provided by Microsoft, maybe because it was deployed after the fact. It doesn't have that colored icon. But these are the apps that you can add to your team. We're going to add a document library. So if you go ahead and select document library, it's in that top row. It's going to ask you to name your document library. In our case, I'm going to name mine with my name in front of it so we know whose is whose. I'm going to name it Amy's Documents. And each person if you put your name, we'll all have a unique name for our library. Once you've named it, hit Create. And so now, on this site contents page, as everybody is adding their apps, when we come to site contents, we now see more items. These are all the items that make up this team site. If you navigate down into your document library, you'll notice that by default, without anything in it, you still get the tabs at the very top. So it's going to default to that Browse tab, but if I wanted to, I could select the files. That's going to give me options such as upload. I could create a folder. I could set up alerts for the libraries. And then on the library tab, I get different functions such as create the views. I could set up additional columns. Those particular things. So even though I don't have any documents yet, I still have this ribbon interface.
So do I create documents outside of this? Is this just a storage place?
It is a little bit more than just storage. You can create documents directly from SharePoint. So for example,
I click new.
if you click new, you're going to get some options. You can create a new Word document, Excel, PowerPoint. You could have a OneNote notebook here. And let's go ahead and create a new document. So if you go and add a new Word document, this is the feature that we discussed earlier called Office Web Apps. I created a new Word document. It took me automatically into the browser version of Word, and now I can start making changes and editing right directly within the browser. When you create a new document there, it doesn't ask you to name the document at the very beginning. Note that this area at the top that says document, if you select within that area, you can change the name of your document. So that's where you name your document.
You don't put a file.
So okay, so you can name your file. You can come down into your document directly and just go ahead and start making changes. So add my heading. All the word processing pieces that you're used to within Word are available. If you're doing more advanced pieces, you may not find it within the online version. But for the most part, if you're doing basic, word processing types of function, you can do that directly within the Word Online. If an individual came into this document, it would show that that individual was in the document. It would show a cursor where that individual had came in and started making edits. You'll notice the one thing that we have to get used to with using Word Online. Intuitively, you want to go to a save button. It's automatically saving this for you. So as you make changes, you'll notice at this very bottom of the page it says saving. As it goes through that process, once it's saved the document, it'll say saved.
So it's sitting in there.
That is your indicator to know that it's saved your document. So it's a little bit to get used to at the very beginning because you, just by habit, are used to going to save.
This is so funny.
Yeah, so you're in the document and you're making changes.
Printing. To learn to spell it right. I like the little flags. That shows where the person is in the document.
Yep.
Cool.
And it gives them an indicator of what color they are. So if multiple people were in the document,
Okay,
you
yeah,
can log
I see
in.
the color. Now I'm
Right.
in.
Yeah, if you come in, it may give you like red.
So how did he get into your document?
I clicked on it.
Yeah, you just went into my document library.
Page, and it just shows her document came up.
If
To the main page.
Go, where do we go back? I don't know how to get it, or wait, is that, no.
oh,
How does, how do you go back?
Sure.
I was creating one too.
oh yeah, select this, the Jefferson Team Site Deep
Oh, that
Dive.
takes you back there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me on.
And then if you go to Amy's documents,
Oh, so I would have to know to go there.
and then
Gotcha.
mine is how to take a picture. That's the
Well, mine
file.
didn't show up. I guess it's in my documents
Yeah.
though, right? Okay.
And so now you're within that document. So multiple people making changes at the same time.
Well, I'm not able to click on it.
It's previous. Who's typing that?
To make changes, because this is the second time that this document's been opened, go to edit document and then edit in Word Online. Yep. So once you've made your changes, it'll indicate that it's saved. And now to go back to my library, there is an area in that black bar that says Jefferson Team Site Deep Dive. If you select that link,
Oh, that's so cool.
that's going to take you back to your original document library. So that's how you navigate back out of Word Online. It's cool. Yep, absolutely.
Don't you you ever call me that name again.
If you select the link that's to the left of your title, that'll take you back into the document library. Now, the first time you went into that document, you created